Hello and welcome to another episode of Mr. Kung Has Problems. Tonight in grade 5 in module 6 we are working on lesson number 17, and that means that we are drawing symmetric figures using distance and angle measures from the line of symmetry. We're going to take a look at one problem from tonight's homework. Now I will caution you that the tools that we have available for recording a video are going to be different from the tools that you have available for you to work on your homework. In some respects this is an easier assignment to do with paper than it is to do online on an iPad. So if the techniques don't seem immediately transferable to you, that's fine. You can definitely do them this way, but just be advised that there may be easier ways to do them that involve. Let's take a look at problem number 2. Problem number 2 asks us to draw and create a figure that is symmetric about line LM, and I can see that line right here, LM. So we basically need to create a figure, well, it looks like it's going to be kind of like a butterfly. We need to create a figure that will go out and have a point symmetric to point P, and then it'll come back in and have a point symmetric to point O, and then back out here somewhere to have a point that's symmetric with point N, and then rejoin the figure here at point M. And we need to do that all around this line of symmetry. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use my protractor to figure out what these angles are here, and then also figure out what the measures are here. So let me go ahead and grab my protractor. Let's see, my protractor is right here. So let's see, I want to figure out, so I'm going to turn my protractor and I'm going to line it up so that that the line goes right, the line of symmetry here, which is LM, goes right out to 90 degrees. Because I'm noticing something, which is that if I can move my protractor up here, I'll move it up to a point where, I'll show you what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to move it up to a point where my protractor intersects with point P right here. So this line, I formed a 90-degree angle between here, which is an extension of LM, and here, which is point P, because that tells me that somewhere out here is going to be the other point that is symmetric to point P. And in this case, I'm going to use my protractor. Because I have this ability to change my protractor a little bit, I can change the size of it. I can put point P directly at there. I can put point P directly at this part of the arc. So I know that I need another point right there. So I'm going to pick up my blue pen, and I'm going to say I need a point right there that'll be symmetrical to point P. Awesome. And see, I need to do the same thing then here for point O. So for point O, I need my protractor to have the 90-degree mark go exactly on this line of symmetry. And I'm noticing that if I do that and I move it right to that spot, I can put point O right here on this interior arc. So that means I need another point right there. So let me pick up my blue pen again and put a blue point there. I'm going to move my protractor one more time here. I'm going to again line up my 90 degrees with my line of symmetry. And I'm going to again try to line up my protractor with point N right at the end of that spot. There we go. So again, point N is right here on this arc, so I think I need to go right over here and put another point right there. And then finally, oh, point M is already defined for me, so I think I'm ready to go. I'm going to take my protractor and set it off to the side here, and I think I'm ready to draw my lines. Let me see. I'm going to grab thin lines this time, and I'm going to say we need one point that goes from this point to point L, like that. Okay. Good. And let's see, then we need another point that's going to connect these two, right? So I'm going to grab my blue marker again. I'm going to grab this and make a point goes right from here to right to there. Oops. Went ahead and got too small. There we go. And then we need another point, another line segment to go from this, which is the symmetric point to point O, out to this one, which is the symmetric point to point N. So we need another one. Oops. I want my straight line, not my just random line. So I'm going to do that. Let's see. From there out to here. Pretty good. And then I need my last one, which is to go from this symmetric point back to here. Okay, I'll grab my line tool. I'm going to go ahead and turn that. Let's see. Close. I got to turn, oops. I got to turn my line just a little bit. There we go. Pretty close. Awesome. There we go. Now let's see if that looks right. Actually, one thing you could do is we could turn this whole, we could look at this whole object. We could actually turn our eyes. We could turn the physical device a little bit so we could look at it and see as we go up our figure here, up our line of symmetry. First we go out to these points, then we come into these points, then we go out to these points, then we come back into L. And sure enough, I'm pretty happy that we have created a symmetric figure around line LM. Now, as you're doing this at home, you may decide that it's easier to do something like folding. For instance, if you went ahead and put a lot of lead from your pencil on points P, O, and N, and then you folded your paper down this line, you would get a little bit of that lead, if you rubbed it, to transfer onto this point, and this point. And then you could go ahead and just connect, and you'd be done. That's a lot easier than what I had to do, which is to move my protractor around and resize it as necessary. So you may have different techniques than I do. You may also choose to use a protractor. Of course, yours will be a real protractor made of real plastic, and you won't be able to expand it. So that means you might need to measure. You might need to say, well, I can figure out that that this point is somewhere out here, but I need to be able to measure exactly how far it is. Oops, sorry, I've moved one of my lines. I may need to measure exactly how far that is. I may need to measure this line segment and then make sure that this line segment is exactly as long. So you might have to do that as well. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Mr. Kung Has Problems. I'll see you again next time. Take care.